Welcome to another edition of DT Live. Today's going to be a bit of a different kind of live stream because today we're doing an off-topic live stream. So, no Linux talk. And of course, I'm being a little bit facetious here, right? Eventually, we're going to have to talk about Linux, right? Because it's a Linux channel and all of you guys, for the most part, are Linux users. But let's try to stick to non-Linux-y topics, right? Let's have some fun today, right? Let's just be normal people, not like we normally are, right? Try to not be a Linux user today. So let me get situated here because I do notice that my scenes here in OBS are a little messed up. So give me just a second. What is going on with this chat here? This scene capturing the YouTube chat is always a bit messy. Let me just reload it. Yeah, there we go. All right, for those of you hanging out in the YouTube chat, give me a yay or a nay on the audio. How does it sound? Can you hear me? That's the main question. All right. And let me see what kind of chat we've got already. So a lot of you guys have been waiting here for a couple of hours. Let's see. Anant Gupta says, I won't be able to watch. It is 1 a.m. in my country. Yeah, that's the problem with time zones. We can't do these where it's a good time for everybody, unfortunately. So typically when I do these early morning or early afternoon, that covers, North and South America, and that covers Europe for the most part. Those are good times. Now I know that in Asia and then in the Pacific, it's not a great time. There's only so much I can do against time zones. Although occasionally I don't do a lot of live streams, but sometimes when I do live stream, I do it later in the evening here in the US, which tends to be bad for Europe, but that tends to be good for Asia and the Pacific. So I try to alternate the times. Today, I didn't have much of a choice on the time because the NFL playoffs are going on, and I wanted to watch the games that kick off around 3:30 my time. It's 1:30 my time currently. So, I figured we'd go about an hour, maybe an hour and a half on this live stream today, and then I'm going to go watch the NFL playoffs. So I didn't want to, miss the games. So that's why the time today. All right, spammers will be dealt with swiftly and without mercy. So I already had to ban this one idiot here who spammed the same message like 100 times on various videos of mine because it kept coming up. And then I'm checking out other tech YouTubers and he's spamming the same message on their channels. And then, what's funny, when we ban these obvious trolls and spammers, they don't know why they got banned, right? They feel so offended. Like, man, how can you ban me? What did I do, right? Well, it's almost like, people don't act the same way online as in real life. In real life, for example, different groups of people don't hang out with each other. For example, people that are real low lives. Let's talk about crackheads. Everybody knows crackheads, right? Crackheads typically don't talk to normal people, right? They avoid normal people. Why? It's because normal people make them uncomfortable because normal people can see they're crackheads, right? So they just try to avoid normal people. A crackhead will only hang out with other crackheads. And, normal people typically won't hang out with crackheads. And of course, there's other subgroups within normal people. For example, I'm one of those kinds of people in life. I typically don't hang out with lowlifes. I don't hang out with losers, right? People that can't basically take care of themselves, people that aren't strong individuals, I want nothing to do with because they're typically losers and they typically leech off of you, right? I don't want to be around leeches. I don't want to be around these energy vampires, those that are familiar with that term. You don't want people that bring you down. And so I don't hang out with lowlifes, right? So I typically the kind of people I hang out with are typically people that are, again, successful in life. So we're talking about businessmen, doctors, lawyers, judges, cops, people like that. And online, it's kind of like that too. I mean, online, a spammer is essentially a crackhead to me, right? I don't want to hang around that person. So when I see a spammer, he's got to go, right? Even though it's not real life, he's just pixels on a screen. In my mind, he's a digital crackhead. He's got to go. All right, rant over. Yeah, was it the XAH Lee troll penguin? Yeah, he kept spamming. I'm assuming his own channel. I'm assuming he's the X guy, whatever. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, but yeah, he kept trying to spam the same small YouTube channel, which I'm assuming is his, and he thought the way, I guess, to gain popularity is just spam the hell out of basically all of YouTube. If people need to understand about online etiquette, spamming is never cool. Like, the reason, and some people don't even realize they're spamming. When they start spamming the same message over and over again, it's like, nobody's listening to me, you have to hear me. No, everybody heard you. They just don't care. Your message wasn't something that interests people, right? And maybe you should think about your message rather than the people that don't want to receive that message. We're not the problem. Your message, and in essence, you are the problem. So if you're having to repeat the same thing over and over again, just stop, because you really need to reflect on why people aren't responding to you. Let's see. Yeah, I know I missed a whole bunch of chat going off on that rant there. So there's no way I can catch up with some of the earlier chat. Let me just briefly catch up with something here. 4:30 p.m. here in Brazil. Yeah. So 4:30 p.m. you are about 3 hours ahead of me. So you must be on the east coast of Brazil. Did you try psychedelics such as mushrooms? No. So I am not a drug user, never have been. Hell, I don't even take over-the-counter medications, aspirins. I'm one of those kinds of people. I try not to put anything in my body, whether it be legal drugs or illegal drugs. I mean, I have to be rather sick to go to the doctor. I have to be pretty sick to get a shot, get medication. But the thing is, I rarely get sick, even though this past month I dealt with being sick. You guys know I had COVID and came down with a virus, and I'm over that. I was pretty ill for about a week, and then the second week I was 50%, but I was able to get back to work. Here 4 weeks later, I've still got a bit of a cough, just a occasional cough. I'm not really sick, but scratchy throat, and occasionally I'll have this dry cough, even a month later. So don't be surprised if I cough during the live stream. But other than that illness, which is going around everywhere in this area, everybody has caught it by now, practically in my area. I'm not one of these people that is sickly. Like, you guys know those people that seems like they're always sick. They're always down. I can go years at a time without catching a cold or the flu, And I don't know why that is. Could just be good genetics. Could be good living. Who knows? Could just be good luck. Why did you first use Linux? Listen, let me ban that person. Okay, I won't ban you, but you're getting a warning. I'm just playing. we may get to Linuxy questions later, but let's skip them for now. Can we talk about Minix? No. Can we talk about Unix? No. Can we talk about Solaris? No. Can we talk about BSD? Hell no. Come on, guys. And you can talk about them, but I don't have much to say about those particular operating systems. And somebody asked about the herd kernel. Yeah, I mean, it's not even something that's usable. And in many ways, Unix, Solaris, Open Indiana, and then the BSDs, they're not really usable. I mean, they're fine operating systems, but they're not like a desktop operating system. The people that use those particular flavors of Unix, they are more geared toward server, enterprise stuff. Like, I wouldn't use them on a regular basis. I couldn't, not for what I do. right? Because I'm all about making audio and video content and more desktop oriented work that those operating systems really haven't even thought about yet, right? That's why I have to be on Linux. Linux is much more mature for a desktop operating system. I know people, well, I use BSD, I use Solaris. Yeah, but you don't do what I do on your machine, right? There's a reason you don't see like all of these big YouTubers that got all these fancy cameras and microphones, and all these cool graphics and doing all this whiz bang effects, and you've never seen a single one of them using BSD. Not a single one of them, right? When you see one of them, then come back to me and tell me to use BSD. All right. Oh, this YouTube chat is wanting to act up on me. Let me catch up. Yeah, I had a super chat here from Zero Linux Official. He says, "Hey DT from Lebanon. My distro is based on Arco." Okay. So I'm assuming your distro is Zero Linux. I hadn't heard of that, but I should write that down and maybe I'll take a look at it when I have a chance. Even though we're not supposed to have any Linux talk, I guess because of the super chat, we'll make an exception. So Zero Linux with an X. Based on Arco. All right. Let's see. Talk about Blizzard, DT. So I'm assuming people want to know about Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. Okay. They bought them for what? $68 billion. Microsoft's a $1 trillion company, multi-trillion dollar company at this point. So they can make really big purchases. And that's a really big purchase. And I think it makes sense for Microsoft. Because Microsoft is, heavily, obviously, invested in gaming. So, I mean, with the Xbox and all of that stuff, it makes sense that they want these big studios, right? And these big games, right? Because, I mean, you're going to get a cajillion players, right, that are invested in just the World of Warcraft games and all of that stuff. Hey, DT, what's a good budget keyboard? I don't know. I'm not a keyboard person. As far as cheap keyboards, I just take whatever I can get. Most of them are secondhand stuff that, just comes to me. As far as keyboards that I actually bought because I needed a good keyboard, typically these days, I mean, it's all the ZSA keyboards, the Moonlander, the Ergodox, the Plank. Those are all like $350, $400 keyboards. So for a cheap keyboard, hell, I just go to Best Buy and buy anything, the cheapest thing on the shelf. If all I need is just a cheap keyboard. I'm not one of these people that try to find differences between cheap keyboards. I mean, they're cheap for a reason, right? They're not good. They're pretty much all garbage. I'm not trying to split hairs. Well, this garbage keyboard is better than this garbage keyboard. No, I'm just going to go buy a good keyboard. Let's see. Hey, DT, what beer brand do you drink? I don't drink anything specific. As far as beer, I like drinking beer, but I rarely drink the same thing, on multiple days in a row, right? I'll go buy, I don't know, Corona today. And then next weekend, maybe buy a different brand of beer. And then the following weekend, maybe buy a different brand. Like, I'm always changing it up. I'm not one of those people that fall into this drinking or eating the same thing over and over again. Like people in life you see that, only eat just a few foods. They're kind of picky eaters. I've never been one of those people. I don't find enjoyment in that. Repeating the same thing over and over again kind of gets old, right? It's good to try new things. All right. Thoughts on smartwatches? I have no thoughts on smartwatches at all because I've never had one, so it'd be kind of weird for me to talk about them. I can't imagine I would have a use for one. Just the way I am. I'm kind of a Luddite anyway. I'm not one of these people that want to walk around with technology. I don't want to walk around with a phone. So I really wouldn't want to walk around with essentially a phone on my wrist. But that's just me. Some people would find a smartwatch useful. I'm sure athletes would find it useful, monitoring heart rate and things like that, monitoring how many miles you ran, how many steps you've taken, things like that. People with health problems may find it useful, especially if they found themselves in an emergency situation where they needed 911, for example. Let's see. DT, your monitors are not aligned right. They make my OCD act up. My monitors are not even on the screen right now, so I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. That's just a strange comment. Because I don't even have a camera that can actually look at my monitor. Like, you guys are not even going to see my monitors on this live stream today. I sometimes wonder about the comments. I get some crazy comments. For example, this person that has repeatedly asked me, hey DT, where to buy a pet Russian dolphin. For one thing, what makes a dolphin Russian? How do you determine the nationality of a dolphin? For the other thing, what made you think you needed to ask that retarded question more than one time? Now, I'm not going to ban you like I banned the earlier spammer that was spamming his YouTube channel like a bajillion times, because I only saw your question come up twice, but be careful. All right. DT, what are your thoughts on crypto land? What is crypto land? Like, yeah, I don't know. Is that a game? I don't know. DT, do you go to the gun range? I haven't been lately, but yes, I've been. I used to go to the gun range all the time. These days, I don't go to the gun range nearly as much because I have actual places, land of family members that I can go shoot on. Especially if I'm going to shoot rifles, long guns, things like that. I need to go zero a rifle to get ready for hunting season, for example. I'm just going to go, to some of my family members' land to do that. Now, if I actually want to go practice shooting a handgun, for example, then I'll typically go to an indoor range that's here in town. The problem these days, though, here in the last couple of years, it's become extremely expensive. Like, everyone that especially has a handgun, but all guns, rifles, shotguns, I mean, you should know how to use it just for safety reasons. You should actually practice, know how to handle that thing safely. But the price of ammo, especially here in the last few years, is so through the roof. Like, it's hard to go to the range and shoot a couple of hundred rounds of 9mm or 45 or anything like that, because you're going to spend $50, $60, $80. I don't know what the prices are going for now, but that's an extremely expensive trip for one trip. And it's not like a couple of hundred rounds is that many rounds. You really need to put a few thousand rounds, I would say, downrange to really know what you're doing. That's expensive. That's way too expensive. And I have thought about me personally getting into reloading, or just reloading my own ammo, but I just don't have the time. And it would be a major investment in money just to get the equipment to do that too. Let's see. Hey DT, what do you think about people who haven't liked the video yet? It doesn't matter. I mean, likes, dislikes. To be honest, it seems like as far as the YouTube algorithms, what really matters is just engagement as far as comments. And of course, we have a great community around the channel, so. Let's see. Zero Linux. DT, when you make videos with your phone, they show they are not aligned. Yeah, they can get out of line. So these, I can align them. Typically, the reason they get out of line is the far left one gets out of line. Like, I'll put it back in line, but I've got cords behind that monitor. I'm often reaching around that monitor, and when I get up and reach over that monitor, a lot of times I push on it, and it comes down a little bit. But it's easy enough. I mean, the arms are adjustable. I can quickly put it back into position. I just don't bother because typically I don't even notice when you're actually looking at the monitors. You're not going to notice it unless they're way off. Like if they were like 6 inches apart or something, then you might notice it. But what you guys notice on screen, your OCD acting up, it's not something that probably would even affect you in real life if you were actually sitting in front of the monitors, because you'd be focused on the content of the monitors, not whether the bezels are lined up or not. DEM says, any diaper recommendations, adult diapers? No, I can't help you with that. Haven't had that problem yet. Right. So, another super chat. This is from Ranish Singh. Appreciate the super chat. He says, love your new LUT. Looks really good. Yeah. So the LUT here, I'm not that happy with it. I'm using the same LUT, but I've swapped out cameras. So I'm using a different camera than what I was using with this LUT before. I was using the older Panasonic G7. Now I've got a Panasonic G9 that is in frame in this shot. I don't know. I thought this LUT looked better on the other camera than it does this camera. I need to play with it. I just haven't taken the time yet. But I appreciate the kind words that you think it looks good. Me personally, yeah, I think I could work on it a little bit. ADT, how often do you use the Tor browser? Not too often. Not too often. Occasionally, I will open up private browser tabs, mainly for stuff on the channel, right? Because you don't want browser history to come up. Also, when you're doing a search for something, you want, clean search results, right? You don't want them to have been affected by your past search in Google, for example. So typically, if I'm going to do, especially any kind of web search, I'm always going to open up a private tab typically to do that. And that's just something I recommend all you guys do that have YouTube channels is, I don't open up private tabs for everything. Like if I'm just viewing like my YouTube community page or whatever and sharing that on camera, that's fine. But especially with search results, you are going to get some seriously tainted search results based on your history, especially with Google. So just open up a private tab. Let's see. Ramton says, any barcode tattoo in the back of your head? No, I don't have any tattoos. Not that I'm against tattoos. It's just personally, I've never had the desire to get one. I know a lot of people like them. A lot of people like the process, the pain involved, which I can understand. There's something to be said about going through a little pain, a little suffering, and coming out better on the other side, right? I think that, tattoos and piercings kind of have that effect. The way, certain people with their spiritual past feel like they have to suffer to become a better person. I'm probably reading too much into that, but that's what I think, when I see, especially the people that are just all tatted up. I think it's more of a spiritual thing for them than, aesthetics. Jonas asked, do you color grade your videos? Sometimes. Obviously, this live stream's not going to be color graded. There is a LUT applied during OBS as I'm recording, so I don't have to go and add a LUT like in editing, in the video editing process. But sometimes I will do some color grading in the video editor if something is really off, which does happen sometimes. Because especially, I make a lot of content, right? So I've made about 1,200 videos. I don't know, a lot of videos in the last 4 years. And occasionally, I should probably do sound checks with the microphone every time I do a video. I should probably do a video check, just record a short clip and actually see, hey, is everything right? Is the lighting good? The setting on the camera is good. But I don't most of the time. I just assume because it was good last time, it'll be good this time. But things change. I bump into things. knobs get turned on the audio server rack. Things get turned on the camera, because obviously I have to turn the camera on and off every time I record a video. But sometimes turning the camera on and off, I'll hit some of the other buttons on the camera and things get messed up. And then I'll have a video where instead of this kind of look, it'll be the white balance will be way off. Instead of having a more normal skin tone, which is more of a beige kind of color, I'll be real white, right? Like ghostly, or really yellow, or something will be really, really off. And then I've already recorded the video. I've already put in the time where I recorded the whole thing. I'm not going to go re-record it, right? I'm going to do what I can to fix it in Caden Live. If it's really bad, there's only so much you can do. If it's just a hair off, I can get it pretty close to where it needed to be. The big problem is with sound. If the audio is off, I can clean that up too with something like Audacity, or some of the forks of Audacity like Audacium or Tenacity. But if the audio was so bad that you were constantly peaking, where the sound is distorted, you can't really clean up that distortion. So that's the only thing. If the audio is horribly bad, like way too much gain to the point where your sound is distorted, you can try to compress it back down and get the levels to where, that it sounds better, but it's still not going to sound good. There's a lot of mistakes that can be made with audio and video content production. It's one of those things that you learn as you go. Many people say to learn anything, you have to put 10,000 hours into anything to really know it. I don't know if I necessarily agree that you have to put 10,000 hours into everything to learn everything, but there are some things that you do have to put in real time, and unfortunately, making good YouTube videos is one of those things everybody sucks at when you start. You can't be good at it, right? You've got to put in a whole bunch of time. You've got to make probably a couple hundred videos before you even know what you're doing. I appreciate the super chat there. That was from Adonis. He didn't leave a question or a comment, but I do appreciate the super chat there, buddy. Hey, DT, Marvel or DC? So let's talk about movies. Since we were going to do a off-topic stream, right? I hate the superhero movies. And that's all they put out these days. It's all these Marvel movies and these DC movies. And most of them are horrible. For one thing, most of them are all about this crazy action, no plot, no story, no character development, zip, nothing. And they're just bad films. And the fact that these modern movies, especially with the over-the-top action, is all CGI. It's all CGI. There's no practical effects anymore. And practical effects just look better, right? You look at movies from the 70s and 80s that were horror movies, sci-fi movies, look at the effects of those movies, because they actually had to build models and costumes, and they were filming real stuff, right? It wasn't all computer generated graphics, and it looks so much better. So that was one of my big things with the Marvel movies, but also the fact that they're just not well written for the most part, not well acted. So what type of films do you like as Fade B? Hey, well, I mean, if we're talking about genres, I like horror, but a lot of the modern horror is just bad. I really thought the horror movies of the 70s, especially, and the 80s were great. So some of the horror classics that I really loved include things like The Exorcist, Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, The Omen, Alien, like all of the Wicker Man, the original Wicker Man. I love that movie. Going into the 80s, I mean, we've got things like the various slasher movies, the Halloween movies, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Some of those were really good. At least the first 3 were really good. Then they got kind of cheesy. I really never cared for Friday the 13th, any of those movies, because those really accepted the fact that slasher movies are designed to be cheesy, and they were over the top, right? The whole Jason running around killing people in just ridiculous ways. And I know it's supposed to be funny, and they are funny, but you typically, at least for me, I don't go see a horror movie to be entertained as far as a comedy, right? To laugh. Other movies I like. Let's talk about some of my favorite directors. I like Quentin Tarantino's movies, all of them. If I had to rank the Tarantino movies, I think my favorite has to be, I'd say Reservoir Dogs is my favorite Tarantino movie, followed closely by Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, The Hateful Eight, Django Unchained, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Inglourious Bastards. I'd put a little further down the list. Wasn't a big fan. I mean, it's okay. All of them are great. But Reservoir Dogs, especially, I thought was just fantastic because, you know, the Tarantino movies, what I like about them compared to the Marvel movies is it's all dialogue driven. There's no real action or effects. It's all about the story. And the only thing for the most part in any of his movies is characters talking to each other. And that's unusual these days, is, you know, actual dialogue, right? And I like that. Again, I think it's what really makes Quentin Tarantino's movies stand out. Some other classic directors, Stanley Kubrick, 2001: A Space Odyssey, one of my favorite films of all time. I really like Full Metal Jacket as well. Clockwork Orange is good. The Shining is good. I'm not as big a fan of Kubrick's The Shining as a lot of people. It's an okay movie, but a lot of people think it's just a wonderful classic film. I don't know. It never struck me as anything particularly special. I did like his last film, Eyes Wide Shut. It's one that not a lot of people like, but I actually think it's a well-made film. I think it's a brilliant film. That particular movie, Eyes Wide Shut, was actually released after Kubrick's death because he died before they actually released that film. Comedies. I will watch a comedy every now and then, but I'm not a big fan of comedies because I find most comedies are lazy. Like the jokes aren't good and just not well written. But some of the ones that I think are brilliant, I think Step Brothers with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, I think is the most hilarious movie ever made. If you haven't seen Step Brothers, that is a great film. Another classic is There's Something About Mary. Hilarious. Dodgeball, a true underdog story, another good one that anytime I see it on TV, I gotta watch it. Tropic Thunder is a good one. I like the Rush Hour movies. Well, the first two Rush Hour movies, but a lot of that is because I'm a big fan of Jackie Chan, right? As far as his kung fu movies, but he's actually really a funny guy when it comes to comedy. Another super chat here from Renish again says, "You'll like a Daredevil TV series in that case." Yeah, is that one of the Netflix original series? I don't know much about it. I've heard about it a little bit, but I don't know much about it. I think that's one of the Netflix series, which Netflix actually does put out some good original series. Adonis, another super chat from Adonis. He said, "Just got a L1 job. How do I move into a cloud job?" I have no idea, Adonis. I don't work as a system administrator or in IT. I've never had a job that had anything to do with Linux or computers or anything like that. So I appreciate the super chat, but that's not me, dog. I'm just a desktop computer user. Nothing special. I don't work in IT, system administrations, cloud. What the hell is the cloud? Right? I don't know. Right? I don't. Let's see. Mark says, "I don't get the Fast and Furious franchise." Yeah, that's another one that, yeah, the first movie was okay, but then they made like 18 other movies, and none of those are good. At least none of the ones I saw. I think I saw the first 4. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people are asking about various movies. The Big Lebowski is an okay movie. I'm not as big a fan of it as a lot of people that think it's just a classic. It's a great film. Yeah, it's okay. I've watched it more than once, but it's not something like if I see it playing on TV, like I gotta stop and watch The Big Lebowski because it's hilarious. I don't think like there's a couple of funny moments in it, but it's not great. DT, shame on you for not mentioning Death Proof and Four Rooms. Does Quentin Tarantino claim Death Proof as being one of his films? Because it was paired with a second shorter film, as far as like the Grindhouse movie. But yeah, Death Proof is okay. If we're going to mention Quentin Tarantino, well, I guess I could have also mentioned, because I do think it's a great film, From Dusk Till Dawn, even though Quentin Tarantino didn't produce that film. He was just an actor in it, but I do think he had something to do with the writing for that film. But technically, it's not a Tarantino film, but I'm going to say it is since you threw in Death Proof. So, yeah. Yeah, Cloud is someone else's. Yeah, I was being. Yeah, I was joking when I said I don't know what. I was just trying to, hammer home the fact that I'm not an IT guy. Right? Don't come to me for advice on getting jobs with Linux and system administration and programming and DevOps and anything like that. Don't know anything about it. I'm not even interested in it, to be honest, because I know I'm never going to work in those industries, so I'm never going to explore those topics. So it would just be a waste of my time. Car or motorcycle? I've never been a motorcycle guy. Yeah, so nothing against them. I've just never had one. A lot of people are thrill seekers. I think that's why they like motorcycles, especially speed bikes, right? I've never been one of those people that has to find ways to get excited about something. That's not to disparage those that do. Everyone's different. Everybody's wired differently. Everybody has to do different things, to get them, to pick themselves up, right? To get them going. DT, do you watch any non-USA Hollywood movies? If yes, what is your favorite? No, I don't watch a lot of foreign films. And Zero Linux is going to ask me about Lars Van Trier. Again, I'm not. I guess those would count as foreign films. I don't think I've watched any of his. I do know the director, and I know some of the films you're talking about. I've just never gotten around to watching them. I don't watch a lot of movies. Even though I can list a lot of old movies, you notice most of them are old. I don't go to the theater. Obviously now it's harder to go to theaters because they're not open. But even 5 years ago, didn't go to the theater. 10 years ago, I wasn't going to the theater, right? As a kid, things were different when I was a kid. Now, I don't know. I just find, again, a lot of the modern movies, similar to modern music. I don't think modern music's very good. A lot of modern films are not very good either. Hunting or fishing? Yeah, I like both. And it doesn't matter. Like if I go fishing, it doesn't matter if I catch anything. For the most part, it's just about being outdoors, right? So, for me, some people get upset. Like they go hunting or go fishing and they don't get anything. Like it was a horrible day. Nah, I'm be in a boat all day, never get a bite. I'll be okay. As long as I have an ice chest and some cold brew. Hey DT, have you watched Twin Peaks? Talking about the original Twin Peaks years and years ago. I did, but I couldn't tell you. I don't remember much about it. Man, that's an old show. I know there's probably a remake, but I haven't watched that either. Android or iOS? I have an Android phone. As far as Android or iOS, they're both proprietary operating systems. For me, I the reason I go Android personally, I mean, whatever. Like I said, both proprietary operating systems. I don't do much on a phone, but I do like the fact that if I wanted to do something on my phone, I've got a little bit more flexibility on Android than I do on iOS, which is a much more locked down device. We're talking about the iPhones, of course. Alex says, have you listened to Meatloaf? Of course. Sad that he died yesterday, yes. So Meatloaf, yeah, one of my favorites. Yeah. The Bat Out of Hell album, greatest album ever made. Actually, it was the biggest selling album of all time. Many people don't realize this. The Bat Out of Hell album that Meatloaf released in the late 70s. And then Meatloaf kind of quit singing, quit making records, and disappeared. And then in the late 70s, early 80s, Michael Jackson came up. And then Thriller, right? When Thriller came out, it was the biggest selling album of all time. And many people don't realize how big Meatloaf was for a brief period of time. Interesting enough, though, he had a falling out with, band members and the guy he was co-writing all the music with and everything. And he disappears for, a decade, maybe more. Comes back in the 90s, releases Bat Out of Hell Volume 2. And that was huge. Like, that sold millions and millions of albums. It wasn't quite like the original Bat Out of Hell, but it was huge. And it was like, does lightning ever strike twice? Well, for Meatloaf, it actually did. But yeah, Meatloaf is great because of, the songs that Jim Steinman wrote for Meatloaf to sing. They're big, operatic, They almost have like a Broadway kind of quality to them, too. And Meatloaf, the nature of his voice, was this big, operatic kind of style to his voice. Rock opera is kind of what they called it. And it just worked. Just great music. It's the kind of music that I don't know if they released it now. I don't know if radio would play Meatloaf. Like if nobody ever heard of Meatloaf, it just came out, nobody'd pay attention to it now because, those songs are so different, right? That operatic quality, the fact that many of the songs have like 5, 6, 7 verses. Some of the songs run, 8, 10, 12 minutes in length. They can't put that on the radio. Not now. I think Meatloaf was also just right for his time. Also, Meatloaf starred in one of my favorite movies. Getting back to movies, Meatloaf starred in Fight Club, right? His name was Robert Paulson, right? Yeah. You guys, if you've seen Fight Club, it's hilarious. Especially the opening scene where Edward Norton gets hugged by Meatloaf. And Meatloaf is a heavy-set guy. And the opening line of the movie is what? Bob has bitch tits. Yeah, seriously though, Fight Club, one of the best movies ever made with Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. Definitely check that film out if you haven't seen it. Like, there's no way you could watch that film and not be blown away by it. Let's see. Hey, DT, what's your worst Windows experience? Well, I mean, there's a lot of bad Windows experiences, but the worst one was when I had my Windows PC taken over by ransomware and a hacker was holding my machine hostage, wanting payment to give me the antivirus to fix my machine. That was the day I switched to Linux. Full time on the desktop. That was, about 13, 14 years ago now. So that was the final straw. Never looked back. Never had anything that ran Windows since then. Best Meatloaf song ever. Life is a lemon and I want my money back. Good song. The best Meatloaf song ever. There's so many good ones. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. It's a good one. Heaven Can Wait. It's a good one. And of course, I'd do anything for love. Yeah, should we create a Meatloaf GNU / Linux? Says Microsoft Edge enthusiast. Wow. And Gabriel has spammed the word Linux a few times in the chat. Hey, Gabriel, pay attention to the chat. You're going to want to see this. Wait for it. Wait for it. And he's gone. DT, Stargate or Star Trek. Oh, definitely Star Trek. Stargate was okay, but it wasn't Star Trek, right? Matter of fact, I can't think of a single Star Trek series that I would say ranks below Stargate. Like, Stargate's not even remotely in the same league as the Star Trek series. If we're talking about ranking the Star Trek series, we won't rank anything past Voyager because we all know those are kind of inferior series. But of the first 4 series, I would say the original series, no, I can't do it. I was gonna, because it's the original series, you gotta rank it that high, but I can't. Deep Space Nine, number 1, then the original series, then the Next Generation, then Voyager. How you like them apples? And Stargate SG-1, not even remotely in the conversation. And don't even get me started with, Stargate Atlantis and the other series. They were horrible. All right. How long have we been streaming here? We've been streaming for 47 minutes. Wow, this is going quick. Seems like I just started. Let's see. Star Trekking across the universe. Oh. Do you watch any educational documentaries at all? No, typically when I'm watching any kind of video content, whether it be TV, film, movies, YouTube videos, I'm looking just to be entertained for a short period of time. I don't watch that much TV. Like, I don't watch TV at all. I don't even own a TV. Typically what I do is I watch this stuff on my computer, YouTube videos or Netflix or whatever. And typically I'm not looking to actually have to do any kind of mental work. I'm just looking for mindless entertainment. If I want to actually learn something, I'm a reader. I read books. Books are the opposite for me. I actually don't read a lot of fiction when it comes to books. For books, I like nonfiction, but for films, TV, yeah, I like fiction. That's just the way I prefer to consume those two different genres, if you will. Let's see. Hey, DT, what's your color scheme of choice? If you're talking about terminal color scheme these days, I use Dune 1, but I mean, there's several I like. I used to use Tomorrow Night. That's a good one. I like Solarized Dark. I mean, I've used that, for weeks or months at a time before. Solarized Dark is nice. Monokai Pro is another one I like. But I don't know if I have a favorite. It's like anything else. You use something for a while, you get bored with it, you got to switch it up. Hey, DT, what browser do you use now? Mostly Brave. When you guys see me on camera and I'm showing a browser, it's almost always Brave because of the ad blocking. I'd like to use Cute Browser, but the ad blocking in Cute Browser is so bad, and I don't want to subject you guys to where I pull up, Cute Browser to show you something, and there's a big honking ad in the middle of the page, especially if it's a multimedia ad that has sound or anything. I can't have that, not on video. So typically Brave. And Brave's good. I like Brave. Got no complaints with it. But I'm one of those people, I have very basic needs when it comes to a web browser. Does it view the web? If it does, I'm good. Ad blocking is pretty important these days because of the YouTube channel. If I didn't do the YouTube channel, I wouldn't even care about ad blocking. Like, I'm that old school. I don't care. You can give me ads. Because I'm one of those people, if you annoy the hell out of me with ads, I'm just not going to go to your site. If you are, let's say, not crazy with your ads, because I understand people that build these websites have to make money, right? People that write and publish their work to the internet, they want to make money. I get that, and I want to support that. So show me your ad. I may even click on your ad if done right. But you know the obnoxious sites that are just spamming ads all over the place. Yeah, when I see that, I'm just never going to that site again. So I don't really need ad block. I'm my own ad block. Yeah, ads are a security risk. The entire internet is a security risk. I mean, everything being displayed in your web browser practically is a security risk, which is why eventually we need a new web, right? The modern web has got to go. We've got to rethink the entire idea of the web. Because right now, it's just a dumpster fire. DT, have you seen Farscape, the low-budget series? No, I haven't. And he says super, and that's from Urion. Yeah, I have not seen Farscape. Let me write that down. Let's see. Yeah. I may check that out. Because it sounds like a sci-fi series, and like I said, I do like sci-fi. Sci-fi movies, series, and sci-fi books. If I mentioned I typically only read non-fiction books, but if I do read fiction books, because, you know, when I was younger, I did read a lot of horror, suspense, sci-fi. I really liked Frank Herbert's Dune series. Love those books. Of course, Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit. Stephen Erickson is another sci-fi author that I've read several of his books. The George R.R. Martin books for A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones. Stephen King. Read pretty much, I won't say everything Stephen King has ever put out, but I've read most of his novels. But like I said, not much fiction these days. I don't go to a bookstore and, you know, pick up fiction these days. Usually I'm there because there's something I want to learn, right? I'm going to nonfiction, picking up a book so I can learn that thing that I need because I've got something that needs to be done. No, I missed a super chat there. I do apologize. Let's see. Jonas says, what is your favorite travel location? I'm assuming you're asking about vacation destinations. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've got a favorite spot. Like, I do like the beach. Like, I like various beaches in Florida. Panama City, you know, Miami. Yeah, I like the ocean. Because I don't live near the ocean. So when I get to the ocean, to the beach, I like that. It's something different, right? It's way different than my normal routine, my normal life. Just being outdoors here, you know, it's all woods. It's all heavily forested, swampy areas too. A lot of bayous and rivers. So yeah, I like the ocean. And not just the beach, but I don't mind being in a boat in the middle of the ocean. You know, in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, for example. I know that's not exactly a location to pin down, right, at the ocean. But I just like, I guess I like solitude, right? Peace. There are some places that you go, it's just peaceful, right? I don't like being in busy places. Well, not for a vacation, right? Some people do. Some people are very much extroverts. They want to be in a room full of people all the time, and they want to make sure that they are the center of attention. For me, like the ideal vacation is nobody else around me, right? That's my ideal vacation. Let's see. Excuse me, guys. I do apologize. I lost my place in the chat. Let's see. Someone asked me, Risky has asked me, do you like the recent Dune movie? I haven't seen it. I should check it out. I didn't like the older Dune movie. The problem with the Dune books is they are not the kind of books you can ever really make a good movie out of. I mean, people can make a good movie and call it Dune, but it probably is not going to follow the books that closely. And that's the thing with books, especially deep books that have a deep story, a dense story. You can't really make a movie out of it. But I will eventually get around to checking out the new Dune movie because people have told me it's good. Yeah, come to Brazil and you'll be amazed. 7,000 miles of coast. Man, one day I would love to get down there. Alan says, have you gone to India? I have not. ADT, have you watched Prometheus? I have seen Prometheus. It's an okay film. It's decent. Nothing special. For an alien movie, right? It's kind of I mean, it was done by Ridley Scott, who did the original Alien, the Alien from 1979, right? It's, I guess, technically it's supposed to be a prequel to Alien. But the original Alien movie is far superior. Like everything about it, the cinematography and the acting and the plot and everything is just the special effects. We were talking about practical effects versus CGI. Yeah. I mean, Prometheus, though, it wasn't a horrible movie by any means. It's a good movie. Like, I didn't hate that I watched it. I wasn't pissed off. Like some people will go see something that's part of a series, and because it didn't quite live up to their expectations, they're mad. I wasn't mad at Prometheus. I thought it was a good watch. It's not like the original Alien, though. ADT, do you like Blade Runner? Yes. Hey DT, Matrix or XMPP? Don't care. I'm not a chatter. I don't sit around and chat with people online. Typically, if I've got to chat with somebody, like get on and IRC or Matrix or Discord or whatever, or do a video chat with somebody on Zoom or Jitsi or whatever it is, it's because I have to be there, right? It's because something work related, I'm not one of these people that I find it interesting chatting online with people that I'm not going to say they're not real people, but they're not real people. Right? I'm looking at them through a screen, or if we're just typing, right, it's just pixels, right? The font, the text that's appearing on the screen. I'd rather talk to people in real life. So, like if I feel like I need to interact with other human beings, I know some people, they'll sit down at a computer and interact with human beings on the computer. I'm not like that. I feel like I need to go spend some time with some people. I'm going to go find family and friends to spend time with. I find that much more enjoyable. Matter of fact, I don't find hanging out with people online enjoyable at all. Yeah. Maybe that's just me. But maybe it's because I grew up before the internet existed, Like the internet wasn't a thing until I was, nearly 20 years old, right? So, I won't say it wasn't a thing. The World Wide Web wasn't a thing until I was nearly 20. The internet had been around, but the idea of the web becoming popular to where now there were web browsers and people were doing things online, that wasn't a thing until like 1996 was really when it kind of blew up with the rise of AOL. I was 19, right? So I'd already essentially grown up at that point without all of this. So I remember what it was like before the web. And guess what? It was pretty good, right? Life was good. Yeah. Gustus says, do you like snow sports? I mean, like, you're asking, like, the Winter Olympics. Will I watch it? I'm assuming. Yeah. Do I like snow sports? Personally, I don't know anything about snow. I live in Louisiana. It's very hot. We never get snow. And typically, I don't go and travel to snowy places. I definitely don't go vacation in snowy places. Like, I'm not one of those people that has to go in the winter and vacation, in the mountains and go snow skiing or anything like that. I've never snow skied in my life. I wouldn't even know how to. So, yeah. So no, I don't. Like I said, largely because of where I live, where I grew up. I grew up here too. So, yeah, just some people will ask also about, even though it's not technically a snow sport, hockey. No one knows about hockey here. That's not a thing. There are no ice rinks. Like, nobody learns how to play hockey in Louisiana. Let's see. DT, thanks for all your work on great videos. Keep up the great work. Take care from Poland. I appreciate that. We've got quite a group of people hanging out in the chat from all around the world. Again, I know in some places around the world, this time is not great. Here in the US, it's okay. North and South America. In Europe, you guys are okay. It's late evening. Obviously, in Asia, the Pacific, I know it's a horrible time. But some of you guys stayed up. I appreciate that. Hey, DT, could computers ever be conscious beings? Yes. I think we can. Yeah, I would say that yeah, pretty much anyone can recognize the fact that computers at some point will become conscious beings, because in many ways, organic life is just a machine. When you look at people, we're very mechanical, right? We like to think that we have free will, that we're in control. In many ways, we're just a machine. We're a computer. All we're doing in life is whatever programming has been programmed in us. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, or probably would outright reject that. Most people would outright reject that. But if you ever observe other people, not yourself, because you're not going to be objective with yourself. You're going to say, I'm not like that. But when you see other people, you see people are very mechanical. People are machines. They're automatons, right? So the fact that, you see organic life really acting in a very machine-like way, at some point, I think machines will close the gap and become much more like organic life. Let's see, Shwayam Shreeb. I hope I got the name right. I probably didn't. Sends us a super chat. 1, I moved out of India 4 years ago because beef is just too delicious to give up. 2, original Alien movie is amazing. 3, how is working from the office changed your workflow and approach to work? Always love your work. All right. So, beef is amazing? Yeah. Everything in moderation, though. The original Alien movie is amazing, yes. How was working from the office changed your workflow and approach to work? Separation of personal life and work life. That's the main thing. That was the main reason why I originally wanted to move in the office, and it has worked out perfectly, right? When I'm here, I work. When I'm at home, I have a personal life that doesn't, like, I'm not thinking about any of this stuff. I'm not, worried about the video I'm going to make tomorrow. I'm not making show notes and thumbnails. I'm not checking emails. I'm not checking social media notifications, any of that stuff. When I'm home, that's my time. When I come here, this is time for this. And when I was doing all this from home, you couldn't really have that separation, right? It's like, it was basically like being at work 24/7. And now, yeah, I'm really happy that I have the office. It was definitely the right decision. And I knew it like the first month I moved in here, I could tell a difference. This was, again, the right thing for me. Maybe not for everybody. I know a lot of people, when I moved into the office, man, I would love to work at home. Working at home is the perfect thing. I hate going to the office. Well, again, different strokes for different folks. Everybody's wired differently. I have never liked working at home. Not just with the YouTube channel, but in previous things I've done from home. I've never liked it. It never seemed right to me, right? Because again, I like having that separation. Or this is home, this is work. Let's see. DT, we are in the Matrix. Yeah. In a lot of ways, the Matrix movie, there's a lot of truth to it, right? I think they were definitely trying to make a statement on the reality of life, right? The reality of life is what we were talking about. People are machines, right? People don't really have free will, right? We all think we're in control and we're not. That's kind of what the Matrix was talking about. You're right. That's getting kind of deep. That's more getting into philosophy and religion, which the next question is, hey, DT, are you a philosopher? I mean, I like philosophy. I like various world religions. Like I like... yeah, spiritual discussions and spiritual reading. Because you do find good messages there. Good life messages. The problem is, most people are not interested in actually improving themselves, right? Ever being more than what they currently are. So in many cases, these messages are not popular. And of course, over the years, over the centuries, over the millennia, many of the ancient teachings that really had some real truth, they've kind of gotten lost, or at least those messages have been diluted. Let's see. Hey DT, do you consider browsing TikTok over YouTube? I don't even know what TikTok is. And I'm not kidding. I don't know what it is. I've heard the name. I know people talk about it. I don't even know what kind of platform it is. I'm assuming it's a video platform since you asked me about YouTube. But I can't really comment. I've never used it. I doubt I'd ever use it. The new Matrix movie is uber bad. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but everyone tells me that it's garbage. DT, are you nihilistic? No. I understand people, how some people can be, but yeah, I'm not a nihilist. I do try to be a realist, though, right? It's like the old adage: are you a glass half full person, a glass half empty person? For me, when I look at the glass, I just see, it's 50% full, right? I'm not worried about whether it's empty, full, right? I'm not looking at anything from that perspective. I just try to see things as they are. Even when it's uncomfortable. Because a lot of people don't like to see the things that are true about themselves or about humanity in general. And we like to pretend things are better than they actually are. We never really pretend that things are worse than they actually are, but we love to pretend like we're better than we actually are. The world's better than it actually is. Philippus the Great, would you say that Mark Zuckerberg uses Botox? I don't know what's up with Mark Zuckerberg these days. I don't know about his face. I don't know about his skin tone. I don't know. He's got a lot of money. He's probably one of these people that's doing all kinds of weird stuff to his body. He seems very narcissistic. He's probably one of these people, he thinks at some point he can cheat death, right? Like, my money can pay for, life everlasting, right? He seems like one of these people. But no, at the end of the day, it's going to be like the rest of us. He has a shelf life. He'll expire one day. The only difference is his face is going to look funny if it's an open casket funeral because there's something weird going on with him. Let's see. DT, how did you get into computers? I was never one of these people that got into computers as far as computers as the hardware, like building computers, and I found the machine itself fascinating. I was all about the software. Mainly, I was all about the web. That was what got me into computers, was the web. I mean, I played with computers before the World Wide Web, but mostly for games, you know, like the old school games, like Oregon Trail, you know, back in the 80s. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? The first one. Like I played, you know, Donkey Kong, things like that. The old games. That's all I cared about. I thought a computer was just for gaming. Before the World Wide Web, which in many cases that was mainly for pure entertainment too. So didn't do a lot of productive stuff with a computer. Johannes, the next beer is on me. Appreciate that, buddy. I tell you what, I actually wasn't going to pick up any beer this evening, but because of you, I'm going to pick me up something nice. Hey, DT, your accent sounds suspiciously North Carolinian. No. Louisiana. But most people seem confused about the accent. Because it's not like a southern Louisiana accent. Like if I had a Cajun accent, it'd be obvious, right? It's not really a Texas accent, like, you know, go out west. Got more of a, you know, kind of a cowboy, slow talk, drawl, right? It's definitely not, you know, real deep south, like, you know, southern Georgia and Alabama, right? I think part of that is, you know, I have lived in a few different places in the U.S., right? But I spent the vast majority of my life I have spent here in Louisiana. But I guess if I talked more like a redneck, right, it'd be obvious. If I had more hillbilly in me, you know, I need to work on that because people do seem genuinely confused about the accent. I get so many questions about it. And then the fact that in all of my Linux install videos, when I'm picking the time zone, I always pick the central time zone in the US. And the most convenient place to pick is Chicago because it's always there in any kind of list or on the graphical installers. I pick Chicago. So I've got these people asking about my accent that think it's a Chicago accent, right? And I'm definitely not from Chicago. Chicago's a fine town, though. All right. You're an internet cowboy for sure, says Cybertrek. Yeah. I better get me some water here. I'm surprised I haven't coughed at all during this stream. At least I don't think I have. What's your favorite video game? Yeah, we should talk about gaming. So here lately, I've really only been playing free and open source games that are available natively on Linux. You guys know I love Zero AD. That's probably my favorite game at the moment. Real-time strategy. And it's just fantastic. It's got a lot to it, right? It's not easy. It's not something you're going to play and be good at initially. There's a lot of strategic things to Zero AD, but I like it. If I want to play something quick, like seriously, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at most, where I just want to have some mindless fun, it's always a first-person shooter. So one of my favorites has always been Xonotic. I've played Xonotic many times on the channel in the past. I haven't played Xonotic lately on camera, but you know, I've got it installed on all my computers. Great game. Open Arena, which is essentially Quake, but you know, free and open source. Open Arena, love that game. Unvanquished, I did a video about a month, 2 months ago. Unvanquished, I've played a little bit here lately, which I had never played Unvanquished until a couple of months ago. I like it. Sauerbraten, which I did the video on the other day, I've played it on and off for probably a decade. Fun game. Great game. I like the first person shooter. Somebody mentioned T World. Yeah, T World's cool for a little 2D shooter kind of game. I do like that. I like Battle for Westnoth for a strategy, turn-based strategy game. Not real-time strategy like 0AD, but a turn-based, meaning I get my turn to do what I want, then you get your turn to do what you want. Great game. Battle for Westnoth. Fantastic music, too. It's great music. But I'm not against playing proprietary games because, gaming is a little bit different. Like with an Office suite, for example, I have choice. There's a proprietary Office suite, several proprietary Office suites, and a whole bunch of free and open source Office suites. But they essentially do the same thing, right? Not a whole lot of difference. But games are rather unique. Each game is very different than the next game, even if they're in the same genre. Not every strategy game is the same game. Not every first-person shooter is the same game. So it's not like if you're playing a proprietary game, you could go play that exact same game except free and open source, right? You're not making that kind of choice. I don't mind playing proprietary games. I don't mind firing up a proprietary platform like Steam every now and then. I don't do it very often. I can't remember, actually. I don't even know my Steam password. I haven't logged into it probably in a year and a half, maybe. It's been a long time. But, some of the shooters on there, I like Team Fortress 2. Typically if I'm firing up Steam, it's for a quick game, right? Well, typically these first-person shooters, Call of Duty. Interesting enough, I have found that gaming on the Moonlander, the split keyboard I have, no difference. People often ask me about the Moonlander and the Ergo Dogs. How's gaming on it? Same as any other keyboard. Won't notice a difference. The trackball mouse, though, is not appropriate for every kind of game. I don't mind the trackball for 0AD and things like that. Shooters, the trackball is not great. I can make it work. I played a lot of Sauerbraten yesterday, and I played a lot of it on the trackball. Just, I actually was swapping between the trackball and a standard mouse just to see, could I tell a difference? I could tell a little bit of a difference, but honestly, the trackball wasn't horrible. Is it as good as a standard mouse for a shooter? No. You should plug in a real mouse for a shooter. Hey DT, do you like Minecraft? I don't know anything about Minecraft. I know what it is. I've seen images of it. Doesn't seem like something that would interest me at all, though. What about Counter-Strike? Yeah, Counter-Strike's cool. Some people have asked me about Urban Terror as well. Urban Terror, free and open source software. You can find it in all of your repos. I haven't played Urban Terror in a long time. It's been a few years, but I've played a lot of Urban Terror in the past. It's a good game. Let's see. Hey DT, what kind of music do you like listening to? So in my car, I typically listen to classic rock. Anything from the 70s and 80s, typically. I don't mind, older music, oldies, like, 50s and 60s music, Don't listen to really anything past, like, the early 1990s. Modern music I'm not interested in. Now, that's in the car, because the car isn't a great listening experience. Now, at home or here with my good headphones, classical music is typically what I go to for that. Love classical music. I had to take a drink again. One thing I've noticed here talking, my lips are very chapped. It is extremely cold here today. I mean cold outside, but I'm also talking about cold in this building. The heat wasn't on when I got here. So it got down. It's very unusual for Louisiana to get this cold, but it got down to like 19 degrees or something for a low last night. And when I got up this morning, when I got to the office, it was still like 26 degrees outside. So this building was ice cold. This room was ice cold. So it's very cold and very dry. Let's see. Let's see. Any thoughts on virtual reality? Never played with virtual reality of any kind, so no. Can't really speak on it. AC/DC, question mark. Yeah, great man. Great music. Love AC/DC. Abalash. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Audio quality in your channel is lit. All the great gear. Totally worth it. Appreciate that. Still got still play with a lot of the audio stuff. And I'm constantly adjusting things. Angelfish browser tested. I've never heard of Angelfish. Don't know about that one. I may take a look at it at some point. I'm always taking a look at various browsers. No, these days, like I said, I'm pretty happy with Brave right now. Is YouTube your full-time job? Yep, that's all I do at the moment. Let's see. Yeah, it's cold in Atlanta today. 39. Yeah, 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. Yeah, that's chilly. I don't like it when it's this cold. All right. Let's see. Hey, DT, do you read often? If so, what do you read? Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Mostly nonfiction these days. But if I read fiction, it's typically horror, suspense, sci-fi. Let's see. Here in Brazil, it's 40 degrees Celsius. Wow. Yeah, of course, you know, it's summer in the southern hemisphere, where it's winter here. Bob Seger? Yeah, Bob Seger's okay. ADT, what do you mean about the Vivaldi browser? I don't know. I haven't said anything about the Vivaldi. What do you, I don't know. You got to tell me what I meant, because the word Vivaldi hasn't come out of my mouth today. So, thoughts on Bob Saget's death? I have no thoughts. So, don't know much about Bob Saget. So, sorry. Didn't know he died. So, I don't follow the news. Again, I don't have a TV. I actually didn't know Meatloaf died until somebody in the stream mentioned it earlier in the stream. Yeah, greetings from Switzerland. That's from Frederick. Appreciate that. Well, it is almost 3 o'clock, so we're coming up on an hour and a half, and I really wanted to be out of here by 3 because I've got somewhere I wanted to be at 3:30. So we'll stream for another 7 or 8 minutes. So if you got any questions, anything you want to get it in now. That way it's recorded in the YouTube chat and on camera, because obviously I'm putting the chat here in frame here. So that way it gets recorded forever in YouTube history. Yeah, Skinnerd or CCR? CCR all day. I mean, come on. That's not even a serious question, I hope. See, is there too much snow in Louisiana? No, it goes years in between snow. And when we get snow, we're talking an inch or two. Yeah, snow is kind of a rare thing. It's not like snow like in, the northern U.S., for example, where you get real snow, where it gets deep and powdery and, heavy. Here, it's usually like slushy ice mixed with some snow. You're not going to see like the really pretty fluffy snowflakes. Definitely not going to get any kind of weird blizzard, right? Something like that. Hey, DT, do you play chess? No. That's one of the most common questions you guys typically have as far as these off-topic questions, because I've had several people ask me about that, about chess. No, not a chess player. I guess because I don't play a lot of like 1v1 games against people, like in real life. When I was younger, when I was a teenager, I used to play a lot of dominoes because my dad and my uncle, they played dominoes and they were very competitive. So I had to learn how to play dominoes so I could play with them. Hey DT, what's your thoughts on minimalism and frugality? Um, I don't have much thoughts on minimalism, frugality, as far as I'm frugal. I would say I'm a bit of a minimalist. I'm a bit of a Luddite, but I understand why some people aren't. Again, everybody's wired differently. A lot of people are materialistic. They think that the things they own are a reflection of who they are. You know, a lot of people have bought into consumerism. I think that's unfortunate. I don't think that's a proper way to live, but you can't really tell people to change, right? They have to figure out, you know, and until you have been a materialist, one of these people that thinks the stuff you own, the stuff you buy, you know, that all the external stuff is you, until you finally realize that's not the case, until what you're trying actually fails, you know, you can't really change. DT, Ford or Chevy? I don't know. I don't own either one. I'd probably buy a Chevy, though. Just because I've had a few family members actually work for GM, for General Motors. So I guess I'd buy one just out of some kind of loyalty. But really, I wouldn't care. I mean, as far as what's the better car manufacturer, Ford or Chevy, I don't know. I'd be happy with either one. Anybody wants to send me a Ford or a Chevy, check the show description. I couldn't even say that with a straight face. You're not getting an address. Oh, I finally did cough. Yeah. DT, Qtile or X-Monad? Either one. I'm in X-Monad today, but I could be in Qtile tomorrow. I actually was in Qtile for a little while earlier this week. Some of the videos I made, I think I was in Qtile. You guys wouldn't have noticed because I didn't show my desktop in those videos. But you never know what I might log into because I have like 15 different window managers installed at the moment. McDonald's or Taco Bell? Well, I mean, if between those choices, McDonald's for breakfast. But anything else, yeah, Taco Bell, because McDonald's really doesn't serve anything that's worth eating as far as anything remotely good for you. Like hamburgers are not good for you, right? Ton of calories, ton of fat. Then all the sodium too, especially in McDonald's food. Just not something you want to be eating. Not something you want to eat on a regular basis for sure. Every now and then, it doesn't matter. But if you're one of these people, you're eating McDonald's all the time, I promise you, when you're stepping on the scale, you're noticing it. At least Taco Bell, they've got some crazy things on their menu that are really unhealthy. But at least Taco Bell, you can get some stuff. Like a regular taco from Taco Bell. Not that bad. And of course, all the chicken products, you know, chicken tacos and chalupas and things like that. Much better. The fact that, you know, none of it's fried, right? DT, have you tried Greek food? Yes. I don't call myself a foodie. I like eating and I like trying different things. And like anything else, I like switching it up, right? But I like Greek food. I like Indian food. I like Chinese food. I like Mexican food, right? Just whatever. And I'm not picky about food. I've never been a picky eater as far as there's very few dishes or types of food that somebody would give to me that I just couldn't eat, right? Or I wouldn't find appealing. There's very, very, very few things I've actually tried as far as food that I thought were bad. Like, I've never understood picky eaters because a picky eater, I've always thought it's some kind of mental block with them. Because why can so many people find certain dishes just amazing, absolutely delicious, and then the picky eater, oh, I don't want that. Maybe they've never even tried it, or maybe they thought they tried it, but they really didn't try it, right? I think a lot of it is behavior that people have learned from watching parents, right? Watching adults. because they have adults in their life that have these weird, strange behaviors, right? And then the kids learn these strange behaviors. Dark Blood says, our desktop window manager really off topic? No, that was fine. The question about Qtile and Xmodad. Like I said, we'd probably eventually get to some Linux questions at some point. I do need to get going, though. We're at the end of an hour and a half here. One more. DT, if Canonical would give you all the decision power and money, would you be able to fix Ubuntu to be more competitive to Arch? Absolutely. Because a lot of the things that Canonical would have to do are already there. For one, just get rid of the main edition of Ubuntu. We don't need it. What we're going to do is we're going to take Kubuntu with the KDE Plasma desktop. We're going to rename it to Ubuntu, right? But now we're going to quit fooling with GNOME because KDE Plasma is just better, right? The Qt toolkit is just better than GTK. Kubuntu is just better than mainline Ubuntu, right? That's the big thing. And then to be more competitive with Arch, we need a better package availability. We need an AUR for Ubuntu. There's one already out there. A guy created Packstall. You guys remember the video I did a few months back about Packstall? They're still developing that thing. It just saw a new release not too long ago. People are actually packaging packages for Packstall, which is an AUR for Ubuntu. And they've got a lot of packages there now. Go check it out if you haven't. So that's probably what I would do. Now, before I go, I do want to thank all you guys that hung out with me today here. I know it's the weekend. You guys probably had other things you could have done, but I really appreciate your questions and comments. That really helped me out. Of course, I need to thank the patrons of the channel, so I'm going to show you some names on the screen. So we need to thank these folks here: Devin, Gabe, James, Matt, Michael, Mitchell, Paul, Scott, Wes, Akami, Alan, Linux Ninja, Chuck, Commander Angry, Kurt, Dayoka, David, Dylan, Gregory, Heiko, Casca, Lee, Maxim, Mike, Nitrous, Arion, Alexander, P. Arden, Fedor, Polytech, Raver, Red Prophet, Stephen, and Willie. These guys are my highest tiered patrons. Wow. That was tough. I'd never tried to do that live. At least not that fast. I also need to thank each and every one of these ladies and gentlemen as well. So these names you're seeing on the screen right now, these are all my patrons over on Patreon. So if you guys want to help support me, please look for DistroTube over on Patreon. Peace, guys.